we begin a new cycle. We are at a new beginning. Wow. We finished yesterday. Almost a year-long process. It's just under a year. And now we begin the process once again from the beginning, so we can have a complete knowledge of the words and the teachings of the Torah. Let's get right into it. Okay, this is introduction part 1. In the name of God, Lord of the world. Then I will not be ashamed when I gaze at all your mitzvahs, from Psalms. The mitzvahs given to Moshe at Mount Sinai and Moses were all given together with their explanation as implied by the verse, and I will give you the tablets of stone and the Torah and the mitzvah. Torah refers to the written Torah, the mitzvah to its explanation. God commanded us to fulfill the Torah according to the instructions of the mitzvah. The mitzvah is called the oral Torah. Moses, our teacher, personally transcribed the entire Torah before he died. He gave a Torah scroll to each tribe and placed another scroll in the ark as a testimonial. As it says in the verse, take this Torah scroll and place it beside the ark, and it will be there as a testimonial. The mitzvah, which is the explanation of the Torah, the oral Torah, right? He did not transcribe. Instead, he commanded it verbally to the elders, to Joshua, and to the totality of Israel. Excuse me. As it says in the verse, be careful to observe everything that I prescribe you. For this reason, it is called the oral law. Oral law because it's not written down, right? We'll see later. It was further written down, right? It was later written down in the Mishnah and then the Gemara, but initially it was, the oral tradition was not written down at all. Okay. Hold on. 1 second.
down about here. Those are outside wires. You're saying you would want to put a. I was actually the impression you had a screen down here. Where would you put it? Or over here. Like to let people in. Yeah. Okay, so. How would you like? Someone rings the bell, right? Someone rings the bell, so you have to either go there, your office, or someone in the hall. The phone intercom, same. Those, again, some extra intercom, extra sign. It all requires some extra things. It needs to have it as well. That's why you like not that here. That's
Sorry, folks. Baruch atah. Chei Olam Shach. All right. Okay. Apologies. Okay. Even though the oral law was not transcribed, Moshe, our teacher, taught it in its entirety to his court, and the 70 elders, Elazar, Pinchas, Yeshua, Joshua, received the tradition from Moshe. In particular, Moshe transmitted the oral law to Joshua, who was his primary disciple, and instructed him regarding it. Similarly, throughout the life of Joshua, Joshua taught the oral law. Many elders received the tradition from him. Eli received the tradition from the elders and from Pinchas. Samuel, Shmuel, received the tradition from Eli and his court. David received the tradition from Samuel and his court. Achia of Shiloh was one of those who experienced the exodus from Egypt. He was a Levite and heard the teachings from Moshe. He was, however, of low stature in Moshe's age. Afterwards, he received the tradition from David and his court. Elijah received the tradition from Shiloh. The court of Elisha received the tradition of Elijah and his court. The priest received the tradition from Elisha and his court, and Zechariah received the tradition from Yehuda and his court. Hoshea received the tradition from Zechariah and his court, and Amos received the tradition from Isaiah and his court. Isaiah received the tradition from Amos and his court, and Micha received the tradition from Isaiah and his court. What tradition are we talking about here? We're talking about the oral tradition that was to explain the written word, right? Important that we make sure we got that, right? That's what we're talking about, right? Continuing. And Isaiah received from Amos and his court, and Micha received tradition from Isaiah and his court. Yael received the tradition from Micha and his court. Nahum received the tradition from Yael and his court. Chavkuk received the tradition from Nahum and his court. Zephaniah received the tradition from Chavkuk and his court. Jeremiah received the tradition from Zephaniah and his court. Baruch ben Nira received the tradition from Jeremiah and his court. Ezra, who was the second temple, by the way, we're now up to the second temple, right? And his court received the tradition from Baruch and his court. There's the beginning of the second temple, which is in like the year, 500 before the Common Era, right? Members of the Ezra court were referred to the Anshe Knesset Gailah, men of the Great Assembly, and they included Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Daniel, we just mentioned Daniel, the prophet, right? The lines in Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, Nehemiah, Ben Chalkiah, Mordechai, the linguist. Why is he called Mordechai the linguist? Right, from the story of Purim. I think. That's what I'm assuming. Zerubbabel and many other sages, 120 elders in all. The last surviving member of the men of great assembly was Shimon Tzaddik, Shimon the Just. He was included in the 120 elders and received the oral Torah. From all of them, he served as high priest after Ezra. Okay. It's going to go through all the generations. Here we have Rabbeinu Al-Kodesh, which is Yehuda Nasi, who was the first one to write down the oral tradition in the Mishnah, right? It goes through all of the generations, right? It's pretty fascinating. Now he comes over to Ravina Ravashi, who wrote down the Gemara. So Yehuda, I'm not going through all of this because it's very lengthy right now. I'm just giving you the general ideas here. And we have, so Rabbi HaKadosh was in the 2nd century, after the destruction of the Holy Temple. Then we have Ravina Ravashi was at the end of the 6th century. They are the ones who compiled the Talmud, the Gemara. Okay. Unfortunately, I have to go. Can't continue. All right, folks. God
Thank you,
bless
Rabbi.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.